You got it?
Yeah, you can test 1, 2, 3 or something like that. I got
Okay.
somebody monitoring it.
Sounds good. All right, testing for Tom. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Testing for Tom. 3, 2, 1. 2, 1, 3. 2, 1, 2. 603. 802.
I'm pretty sure we're good.
Good. Okay. Good. Sweet.
Yeah, well then.
Yep. I'm going to close this up.
$5.29, huh?
529. We've got 12 people with us now.
Excellent.
We had a couple more people joining up, Dave. Maybe we'll just give them a minute or so to get in.
Yeah. You kick it off. You start the introduction, Mark, when you're ready.
Excellent.
I'm in agreement.
All right, folks, we're going to get ready to kick off our 2020 winter operations meeting here in just a moment. We got a couple folks that are joining us through the Zoom waiting room, so appreciate everybody's patience while we get everybody admitted here. Just while we're waiting to get everybody online, I just want to let everybody know, as you probably are very familiar, all sorts of COVID restrictions are back in place as both Placer County and Nevada County have rolled back into the purple zone, purple tier rather. So that means that all non-essential airport employees, which is basically all the aviation community services team, except for directors, will be working from home. So lots of things changed on that front. Stay tuned to the airport's webpage for more information on that. That won't have any effect on our winter ops per se, but just bear with us as we go through these uncharted times. Looks like we've got everybody on board here. I'd like to thank all 17 of you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Mark Covey. I'm the pilot and passenger outreach coordinator here at the Truckee Tahoe Airport. And tonight we're here to talk to you about winter operations here at Truckee Airport. Presenting alongside of myself tonight is a gentleman that's been here at Truckee Airport for quite a while and been our director of operations and maintenance for, I believe, going on about 3 years now. Dave Hoffman is our director of operations. You may know Dave from around the field and his fine canine friend Rex. So without too much ado, we'll go ahead and we'll start our presentation. A couple of things we'd like to establish up front. If everybody looks at the interface on Zoom, there's a little chat feature down on the bottom. If you have a question, we'd prefer that you wait until the end of the presentation to bring up that question. If it's something that's really sort of urgent and apropos, if you will just make a little message in that chat message, I can receive that, and then we'll take a little break and chime in with Director Hoffman or myself. So there's that. Without much further ado, I'm going to introduce Mr. Hoffman here and get our slide deck going.
Okay, folks, good evening to you. Dave Hoffman, Director of Operations and Maintenance here at Truckee Airport. I have coming up on 19 years here at Truckee this February, so I've had a good run here. It's quite enjoyable, and I really enjoy the people that I both work with and get to interact with. The goal tonight that we'd like to get across to you is we want to educate you and inform you and keep you safe in your movement, whether it be on the land side or the air side during our winter operations. It's important that we not mix it up out there with cars in the hangar rows and things of that nature. I want to let you know that my side, the department that I work with, operations and maintenance, we've got 12 year-round employees, and I've got 3 on-call seasonal folks for doing snow removal. So we'll get into that a little bit further later, but just to give you an idea of what we've got in the way of personnel. Next up here, Mark's got a video that he's going to play for us that it's quite a good one, and I'll let Mark get that going and we can talk when it's finished. This was a good old-fashioned snowstorm here, and kind of a classic where it tries to clear out after. It was a lot of snow to move, and it takes a lot of laps and passes to get that snow to its final resting place. And that's the classic part of it. You do all that, and then it starts all over again, and you come back and do it again the next day, which is something that we're quite accustomed to around here. The storm prep side of it, getting the equipment ready. Our equipment, fortunately, is all stored indoors. It's in a heated location, and we've got the ability to do good pre-flights on it. From showing up. It's warm, everything's clear, all the windows. We can do a real good pre-flight before we bring them out of the barn to start cooling off. As far as our equipment goes, we've got 10 pieces of snow removal equipment that are available to use. That's barring nothing is broken at that time, so we can put things to work. Now, not all pieces of equipment can go straight out the door and go to work. There's a sequence to it that we'll get into a little bit later, but 10 pieces max is what we have here. We start our maintenance if we know that we have any heavy maintenance to do on a piece of equipment, whether it be a transfer case, a gearbox, an engine, something of that nature. We'll start that in the spring to give us the long summer to make sure that piece is up and running and ready come fall. But if it's a standard maintenance, just routine maintenance, we'll be starting that in October, and we can get through that equipment and have it all ready for use come the first snows. As far as the weather dictates our lives up here, and especially you folks that are pilots and just moving around town and what you want to try to do. We watch the weather. We watch it again. I always encourage my coworkers to utilize their favorite or what they might consider their most informative weather site, and I like to compare information and see if we're all kind of interpreting it the same way. But we watch, and we watch some more through the night. The kind of thing that I do when I'm the snow boss is I'm using the web camera that we have here at Truckee Airport. I suspect many of you do, and for any of you newcomers, if you're not familiar with our webcam, you need to put that on your favorites because it's very informative in a number of ways. For me, it's to look to see if the snow has moved in. The webcam is not a very good depictor of how much snow is actually on the ground, because once it covers the asphalt or the painted circles or taxi lines, I can't tell how much snow is there. All I can do is understand that we've got snowfall on the ground, and anything over an inch, at an inch, is a signal that we're going to need to plow the runways at the very least, and then we might incorporate taxiways from there. So that's a tool that I use, and I would encourage you folks to use it also. It'll give you an idea of where we stand with snow removal, maybe how quick it's going for a visual sense, and you can plan your day from there for coming out to the airport. We go into the determining factors, and no two storms are the same, and I think most people realize that. But what we're trying to watch is the news. We have a phone line that we can talk with the National Weather Service down in Reno. We get updates from them. I can ask them about how things are trending. But we're trying to figure out what type of snow it's going to be, heavy, wet. The duration of the storm has something to do with that. And the time of year plays in most definitely. If we're getting more of a solar event, say come our springtime, if we're pulling in thermal abilities to melt snow on the runways and taxiways, sometimes we don't have to put as much equipment out there grinding up and down on the asphalt. Timing of the storm, is it coming in the morning? Is it a midday start? Is it an evening? We're typically looking at what you see there, 1 inch on the runways, and we start plowing during the daylight or during the daytime, because we don't have enough people to run multiple shifts, because we have so much other to cover here at the Truckee Airport. You know, the fueling side of it, all the customer service. So we may not be getting on it and have to leave it. Hangars, 4 inches is typically where we start getting into the hangaros for you folks. Most aircraft seem to be able to taxi through lighter snow, and we let you do that. We try to get the taxiways and the runways into shape for you. We also, whenever we start a snow removal event, we always, judgment on when to start is, can we get the runway or runways, if we're going to plow them both, can we get those finished up to the point that should there be an emergency landing or a need, that we don't set any pilot up for a problem with having berms on a runway, and at the crosswind runway, we don't have a berm across that. So that's an important factor. We don't start it if we can't finish it, and that's really important to us. What else plays in is the number of operators that we've got available, and that's an important thing. We have to be very cautious about how we work our people, because of the number of other things that they've got to be in charge of also. Like I say, the opening of the airport, the buildings, getting the fuel trucks ready, things of that nature. If it's going to be a full-blown snow removal event, I've got to think about bringing people in. Are we going to be opening the airfield midday, so I can't bring everybody in at once because I need my personnel for the latter part of the day to round that out? And a big part of this is fatigue. Running heavy equipment is it's quite enjoyable, and it's very challenging, but we do have to be concerned about fatigue, and it's something that I think about. I will not run my folks past 12 hours, and I try to have them back in the barn at 11 hours so that they can get themselves home safely, take care of what needs doing at that location, and then also preparation to come back the next day, quite possibly to run equipment again. I don't want to fatigue my folks. That's when accidents can start to happen, and we certainly don't want that to happen. Experienced operators. This year we've got 3 seasonal folks that are all quite adept at running equipment, and I'm very pleased to have those folks aboard. And then we've also got our normal full-time staff that we are continually training those folks and trying to bring them up to speed in different pieces of equipment and in different tactics on how to push snow. So it's a never-ending situation, and we go from an individual, Roger Pineapple, who's 20 years with the airport, and we've got a new hire that's coming in for his first year. So we've got a few variations in between, and we're always training. So be aware of that. As far as why we don't work around the clock, we don't have enough people to cover the shifts, and what you might find is that when we put all those folks in equipment and we're fueling, we may not be able to come assist you in areas such as opening hangar doors or fueling or things of that nature. But we try to put that out in a NOTAM, and we'll touch base on that in a little bit here. The next slide we've got is showing some of our snow removal equipment there. We are ranging with our 10 pieces of equipment here at Truckee. We're ranging 2 pieces from 1996, and now we're spanning up to 2020. So we've got a 24-year span in age of equipment. We take very good care of our equipment, and that's why it lasts as long as it does. But the photo right here, the far left, shows our brand new 2020 J.A. LaRue rotary blower, and in the middle there is our new Cat motor grader. It also is a 2020, and this year something that's going to, I hope, give us a leg up is we have 2 high-powered newer blowers that are going to have the tonnage capability to move things on a little quicker. And then also, as far as the motor grader goes in the middle, we've kept our 1995, and we're going to run 2 motor graders where conditions allow and operator numbers allow, to try to expedite pulling edge lines, working in all the different areas on the airfield. So we're going to find out how that works depending upon the type of winter we have. I'm really going to jump kind of right down into, it's going to be slide 9, and it's going to be the runway closures and NOTAMs. The duration of the runway closure is just an estimate. And we do our best to be realistic on the time that we put as far as a closure will go. Am I out of sequence there, Mark, on my sheets? But anyways, the duration of runway closures is only an estimate, and you folks, that is the what governs. We will only open runways and or taxiways when we've got wall to wall, we got edge lines from one side to another. We don't open it up for a random takeoff or a random landing. The airfield stays closed until it's ready, and that's an important thing. We wouldn't open a runway and allow back taxiing. There's just too many challenges that come in with that. So there's no squeezing out or squeezing in here at Truckee once we have it closed. We certainly do our best to not, again, we put a realistic timeline out for the timeline for a NOTAM. Depending upon how things are going, if we have a piece of equipment go down, that takes a piece out of service and an operator to try to work on that piece of equipment. So that could slow us down. And or as temperatures change and the snow changes with it, that snow becomes more challenging to push due to its weight and or lack of traction out there for us. So that's another item that comes into play throughout the day as the snow conditions change. We may have to extend a NOTAM, but we certainly only do that because we're unable to get the airfield the way it needs to be before we can open it. Also, that being said, we have NOTAM'd last year. I think we did it a couple of times. Is that we NOTAM that there were going to be certain services that were not going to be available, and that is because of all personnel are their first priority, or my priority for them is to ensure that we're putting our best foot forward for snow removal and not being distracted by needing an aircraft put in or pulled out of a hangar with a tug, or fueling needs, things of that nature. So use good forethought if and when you're planning a flight during what might be inclement weather, snow, that you might want to have that aircraft ready, fueled to get you out of Truckee so that you can move along at the pace that you would hope to. We've got the sequence of operation. Now, this is a general sequence of operation. Variables come up with you just kind of can't guess what might deviate you from it. But when you look at this, we have got 103 acres of asphalt that we do snow removal on, and that is from the airport road, from where it becomes our property right at the fire station road, all the hangar rows and parking spots and things. So we've got a substantial amount of snow removal when it goes into a full-blown event. The first priority for us is to be able to, the first person in, we have that individual plow, airport road, Chandel. We want to be able to get our people down to the shop and cleared out around the shop so that we can get our operators to the facility where they can get their equipment out and then fan out from there. We always give great care to our care flight operations to ensure that they can fly as weather allows, permits them. They can get the helicopter out of the hangar while we're off doing other things. So that end of the airfield, the Lima, Mike, November, and Papa, that is a substantial area of asphalt down there, and it's an area that has a lot of frequent users down there. So we try to focus on that area to get that cleared for care flight and get that area going for those frequent users. We also put people right into the terminals so that we, a loader typically, maybe a small blower, but we try to get that area set up so that our coworkers have an opportunity to get into the parking lot and then into the building. Now, with the COVID situation that we've got, many people are working from home, but that also is still, we need to have that public area open and available to go from, for people to come and go. And then we also, a big push for us literally can be going from gate 7 or gate 5 all the way to the ATC tower. We need to be able to make sure that we can get our controllers in and that we don't leave them high and dry on the ramp somewhere high centered in snow. So that's a priority. And then we start, I put a plow truck onto the runway and a motor grader on the ramp, and hopefully this year another motor grader out on the runway to start pulling edge lines and get things going. As more people come in a little bit later, I'll probably get the rotary blowers out, the big ones, and we can start casting snow that way. But it's a bit of a orchestrated mess at times, depending upon the type of snow, how much snow, number of operators, qualified operators, so on and so forth. The airfield, it does take us in a big event. It's a 7-day and possibly more to get all the radiuses proper and all the hydrants dug out and electrical panels and generator rooms and things of that nature. It does take a while to get this place whipped back into shape to make it both safe first and foremost, and also presentable. We have pride in what we do here at Truckee Airport, and that's right in with our snow removal also. Gonna jump in. I touched base already on the runway closures and the NOTAMs, but that's something, folks, through using the NOTAM system to keep an eye on us. Also use the webcam, and you can kind of monitor what kind of progress it is we're making out there. It can be deceiving. You might see that a certain area looks clear and dry, and you say, well, I could get out on that. What's the big deal? Well, there's things that are out of camera view that might be taking us a little bit longer. But believe me, we're thinking of you and your safety, and we'll get that open just as quick as we can. The hangar rows, this is an area that, it affects all of you pilots. You need to get in so you can get your aircraft ready to go, so you can get out of here. And believe me, it is a priority for us too. We're using the opportunity for you folks to make contact with the AVCOM side of the house and put in your requests for departures, and we can look at trying to prioritize. That's something that I would do as a snow boss, or one of my supervisors if they're the snow boss, is we try to put our equipment into the most effective locations, best bang for the buck, and get that snow cleared, as opposed to running all over to different hangar rows. But put in your request, and then I will try to get those taken care of, accommodate that. A lot of snow to move in those hangar rows. But the method that we use, the motor graders come through, and they are pulling the snow away from the hangars there. You can see the grader right there. That's a good shot. Is that depending upon the snow, the type of snow, how much snow, and the skill of the operator, of how close we can get to the metal structures. And we don't want to damage our equipment or the hangars, and we do our best to try to get as close as we can safely. But we always try to get within a foot. Drifts make it hard sometimes, so have an understanding of if it's a big storm that we may not be able to get as close. And on that note, it's ever so important for all hangar tenants that are going to fly in the winter, use their aircraft in the winter. You need to have a snow shovel and or a snow blower. Because once you lift that door and snow falls underneath it, you need to get that snow out from underneath it, because if you set it down on that snow, it has a tendency to unspool the cables that lift the door and cause a problem next time you might want to lift it. Now, any hangar issues that may arise, those are low priority, back burner while we're doing snow removal. So my advice to all hangar tenants is to look after yourself and your hangar and shovel that snow out from underneath the door. So, and also be very conscientious if you're going to use a snow blower, maybe not blow it in front of your neighbor's hangar, so that they've got a problem, have your snow to work with. But the snow removal, the grader's going to pull the snow to the center of the hangar row, and then what we do from there is we put loaders in there to push the full length. Now, a hangar row is 520 feet long, or Alpha through hotel, and that's a lot of trips back and forth. You can only be efficient one way. We only plow typically one way, which is to the south out into the meadow, because of the ability to have larger amounts of snow storage. And on that end, there are no aircraft using that end. There are no wingtip clearance issues. If we push to our version of the north towards the runways, we could incur snowbanks that could have a wingtip clearance problem, and nobody needs that. So that's part of the rationale on how we do that. And this year, I'm going to try some different things. Depending upon how it goes, I'm going to maybe look at trying to run a swing shift where we can maybe get some people pushing, say from 4 o'clock until midnight or something of that nature, to work in the hangar rows in these big areas with expansive areas to push. But we'll see what we can do. I'm always trying to think of new variations of efficiency and effectiveness for both ourselves and for the hangar tenants to be able to utilize the field in a timely fashion. And we're going to move on there. The NOTAM's canceled. The airport's open for business. That again is where you might come into a NOTAM where there is no services available. That type of situation. And I'm going to jump back on this slide. I'm sorry, Mark. I kind of got ahead of myself, but we talked about the importance of shoveling below the doors. And what is also is important extremely is that the folks that are doing snow removal, we get very focused with our equipment and our little surroundings. So never approach a piece of equipment that's moving, or for that matter, stopped, because you could be in a blind spot. And none of us want to have anybody have a challenge, whether it be to their own life and limb, or to their vehicle, or to their pet. So what we need to do is try to stay out of the hangar rows while we're working in them. Parking in front of your hangar only causes delays for that hangar row. We'll move on because, again, as I say, we want to stay efficient and effective, that we don't have time to get out of the machine and come hunt you down to ask you to move your car. So that's something to be aware of. Now, also in the hangar rows, the ends of the hangar rows are blind spots, and we are focused. We're in our zone for pushing snow. Please don't find your way at the end of the hangars where we may have an opportunity to run into you or have a problem. Lots of blind corners. Try to just stay out of our way while we're doing the snow removal in there. When we drop the NOTAMs, that airfield should be ready for you folks for day and night departures. We have to make sure that we chase down any little clods of snowballs that may drop off a piece of equipment, because if one of those is to stay out on the runway or at high speed, and that freezes up and someone runs into that at night, that could cause directional control issue at the very least, and other problems from there. So we need to make sure that we have got a clean surface for you folks to both taxi and take off and arrive, because we don't need any problems. If the airfield is not monitored, we'll put a FICON out to think about that. But things do happen after we go home, so just be very, very cautious about that. As far as, again, if we're all in the aircraft, or if we're all in snow removal equipment, aircraft come in, there may be nobody here to marshal an aircraft in and supply services. So watch your NOTAMs for that. We will try to get self-serve up and running so that folks might be able to get out. If that is the type of fuel that your aircraft uses, you could fuel yourself and depart. We went through the tenant responsibilities. What can happen on the east-facing side of hangars as snow, as heat melts that ice? You can see the icicles there, that those do cause problems, both breaking off. Be careful what's under it, being yourself or somebody else going in and out as you are holding the momentary switch to keep you in a safe location. It's others that we might need to be careful of. But also, those doors on that side have had a tendency through certain conditions to have that drip edge and have that water and slushy snow freeze the door to the ground. And that is a problem. So if and when you're trying to lift your hangar door and it is making sounds and sounds like it doesn't want to go, please take your finger off the button. Let us, make a call, get to us. We will come see what we can do to help you with that situation, whether it be frozen to the ground. We don't want you to rip the rubber astragal, which is the weather seal, off at the bottom by continuing on. So we want to make sure that we can come assist and create and not create any issues for ourselves or the door. Again, it's plan ahead, understand what's going on at the airport, use your reasonable expectations of what really is happening, and is this really the right mode of transportation for you if you are at a true deadline. It's important. Yeah, that's driving slowly and staying out of the way of the equipment is also, can't emphasize that enough. I'm rolling to the end here of my side. I'll let Mark take over with the AVCOM role, and then I'll be standing by for any questions that we as a group can answer for you.
Excellent. Great information, Dave. Thanks very much. I've got 2 questions from a pilot that we'll address here after I go through these next few slides. So thanks again for your great info.
You bet.
So over to the AVCOM role. What does the Aviation and Community Services team do during winter operations? Well, clearly you can see from my backdrop that we just bust out and go to Maui. I'm kidding. What we do is we work every day with the air traffic control tower, the air traffic control manager on safety, operational, and community initiatives. We are ultimately responsible for flight safety. We're responsible for all communications, including essential, emergency, and routine comms. We also measure operations, enforce curfews and noise abatement procedures, and develop data. Some of the challenges that we experience in the wintertime with communication is that even though we're not necessarily out running snow equipment and assisting Dave and his team, we are out and about in the airfield, meeting with folks when we're in a non-COVID situation, or assisting folks at the air traffic control tower, or working on other initiatives. One of the problems that we find is that there's redundancy in our communications. Sometimes that helps or confuses the issue. But ultimately, when it comes down to what's going on at the airport, the NOTAM is the ruling information. Lots of sources to find NOTAMs these days, as all pilots know. Dave touched on it a little bit, but we really want to drive home this year that when you need access to the airport, when you need to get to your hangar, if you have an anticipated operation, really the only way to get through to all of us is to email the snow day page, the snow day email, and I'll have that email here in just a second for you. But if you look on our website, we do have the snow day page, which is a great source of information that will tell you which side of which hangar rows have been cleaned, which ones haven't been cleaned, what some of the general statuses of the airfield. In that video that we played before, the 24-hour time lapse, you saw that it snowed. Dave and the team did a great job of clearing the snow, and then it snowed again. So potentially we may have had to NOTAM the airfield closed after the sun beat on the pavement and warmed things up and created an ice situation. So the snow day webpage as well as the NOTAMs are really the way to get the best information of what's happening here at Truckee Tahoe Airport. So as Dave mentioned, we're here for you guys. We're here to help out. And the way that we can help out is when you have those anticipated operations, with as much notice as you can, email us at snowday@truckeetahoeairport.com. When you do that, you're sending information not just to me or not just to Dave, but to a whole team of us. So your needs are disseminated across a pretty broad spectrum of folks here at the airport. We'll do our best to accommodate your access. But as Dave said, please plan ahead. Please anticipate that you may not be able to get fuel, especially if it's a crazy snow event like the one that we had the video of. Also be prepared for delays and just generally exercise patience to us. As we go through the winter and your needs are being met or not being met, please communicate with us. Let us know how we're doing. The feedback is immensely helpful, and we're able to implement different procedures such as this Snow Day page and this email. I feel like we had great success with it last year. We just want to ensure that everybody drives to that email instead of phone calls or text messages that may, I wouldn't say go by the wayside, but may not be able to be responded to in a timely fashion. Dave touched on the webcam, probably one of the best airport resources I've ever seen anywhere. 360-degree view, super high definition, awesome resolution. But as Dave said, just because you see that all the snow is clear and the runway looks dry by the segmented circle, especially with the winds blowing out of the south, you could have a completely different scenario over there on runway 20. As many of you know that have flown here for years, there's a lot of microclimates here at the airport. In closing, just want to say thanks for attending. We appreciate your time. We hope you leave with a better understanding of what the method to the madness is here at the airport, what our staffing levels are, what our operational challenges are, and got to see some of our really awesome and capable pieces of equipment. We hope you have a great winter and everybody flies safe. Thanks for joining us. So at this time, as I mentioned, I do have one question from a local gentleman, and this is driven toward you, Mr. Hoffman.
Okay.
And that is, can we expect the runway to be NOTAM closed when 1 inch plus of snow falls the night before?
Yes, you could and should. Anytime we are going to put snow removal equipment out on the movement area, there will be a NOTAM accompanying that. We will look at, use our knowledge of how much snow and how long it'll take us to do it, and we'll once again try to put a realistic timeline on that. We will start at an earlier hour, but there again, I don't run just one person out here at a time for safety factor. So, probably the earliest we would start plowing that would be a 5 a.m., but more or less like a 6 a.m. and try to get that runway cleared, or runways.
Excellent, thanks. The second part of this person's question was, as well, how early will NOTAMs come out? 7 a.m. ?
I would like to believe that yes. There again, it depends on the snow event and what has happened and what is happening. If the storm is going to have a duration of the day, we certainly don't like to be out on the runway. We don't like the snow to get deeper than 4 inches if we can help it for a daytime event. But yes, 7 a.m. is what we shoot for. We put a FICON out by then, and that same person may be the one to say, hey, this is going to need to be a full-blown snow removal event or a snow removal event, and we'll have that NOTAM going. And it could need to be amended throughout the day. But again, we always try to start realistically and go from there.
Excellent, thanks. Another gentleman is asking, am I correct in understanding that you will open one runway?
Yes, we will open one runway, and typically, times have kind of changed along this lines. It used to be in yesteryear that they would try to open runway 2 first because of prevailing winds. That doesn't really work as well anymore with the changed fleet, the mixed fleet that we have here at Truckee Airport. 220 would be later, and what we need to do is we need to get runway 1129er going, and then at the intersection I need to push it back both to the north and our version of the south far enough that I won't have any snow removal equipment working in the movement area, that we can work on that once the hold short lines, once we've got the other runway up and running.
Excellent. The feedback from that pilot is thank you. If anybody else has any other questions for either Director Hoffman or myself, if you would kindly scroll to the bottom of the Zoom app and find the chat button, we can unmute you. And now that we're done presenting, we can unmute you and you can ask your question live.
Mark, I'd also like to interject and let folks know that anytime you see me around the airfield, feel free to stop me, and I'd love to have a chance to answer everybody's questions that they might have. And we can look at the equipment, we can talk in greater depth about things. This is just a good overview, I hope, for our airport users, and got lots of other things that I could share with you folks.
Excellent. Feedback from another pilot, local pilot here is thanks for the information. It's very helpful. Just give another couple of seconds to get any other questions in. As Dave said, we're accessible. We're here for you. If you have any questions that you think of after the fact, after the meeting, tomorrow morning, next week, just look us up on our website, and we're happy to reach out to you. As Dave said, we'll spend time, show you the equipment, explain the process, explain how NOTAMs and FICONs are issued and whatnot, and give you a better understanding how everything goes. Looks like we don't have any other further questions. Just want to thank everybody for joining, and thank Director Hoffman for his presentation. And I guess at this point, we'll bid you all a fine evening. Thanks for joining us.
Yep, thanks everybody.